Anyway, Dave is with us, and also Jen Ellis with us, the attorney for the Trump campaign. We're going to get everybody in the final segment. Hey, Jenna. Hey, Dave. Great to have you both with us.
Great to be on, John. Hey, Jenna.
Hi, Dave. Great to join you all.
Dave, that was the best line ever. They have a business school. We laughed about that, Dave, all night last night. We got done. That was the best line ever. So, Jenna, let's start with you first. And I want to start off topic a little bit. Jerry Falwell Jr. in Liberty University suing the New York Times for $10 million over fake news story. You're a lawyer. You defend the president and their campaign every day. What do you think of this lawsuit, Jenna?
I think it's fantastic that Jerry Falwell and Liberty University are pushing back. So many others who have been victims of the fake news, including the president, including the campaign. I mean, the campaign also has a lawsuit against the failing New York Times for defamation as well. I think it's time that people start pushing back against, the news that pretends to be news, but they're simply activists, and they go well beyond the parameters of what the First Amendment actually protects. And if you're a publisher who publishes a statement that is knowingly false with actual malice, then you can be held and should be held liable for defamation.
What about the Trump's taxes? I know you guys are battling the state of New York and the Attorney General for releasing more, digging into more as financial records. Where do we stand with that, Jenna?
This is just a delayed victory for the president, even though I think the Supreme Court should have provided more of blanket immunity to be free from harassment from local prosecutors while the president is in office. This is something that the Supreme Court affirmed, that the president, like every other citizen, has due process protections. He has all of the defenses available. And so, Cy Vance, who's there in New York, has just been harassing Donald Trump for years and years. And he's going on a fishing expedition. And our justice system doesn't work that way, where the prosecutor looks at a person and targets a person for political purposes and then goes in search of a crime. It should work that the prosecutor is completely unbiased and in the interest of justice finds evidence that a crime occurred and then goes and looks for the culprit. So that's not what Cy Vance, this Manhattan DA, is doing. And so we're very confident that the president's tax records will be shielded from this kind of ridiculous, yet again, another witch hunt.
All right, I want to bring Brat in here, Dave. And by the way, we're very excited about the July 27th and 28th
Freedom Summit
put on by the Falkirk Center. That'll be in Washington, D.C. at the Trump Hotel. And I know you got a huge lineup for that. You're going to have Senator Ted Cruz is going to be there, Senator Tom Cotton, many congressmen doing that, and many others. As you were saying yesterday, Dave, about the China situation, how does this play into the campaign? We asked Curtis Ellis this easier. Do people really care? Is China going to become a campaign issue in the next 100 days?
Yeah, well, I just want to compliment Ryan Helfenbein for doing a great job running the Falkirk Center and doing the heavy lifting to prepare for our China summit. But yeah, the mainstream media knows that if China becomes the thesis statement, the election's over and Trump wins. So that's why you will not hear a word about China. And so what caused the coronavirus? Who sent it here? China. Why did the economy tank? China. Why do you have 40 million people dislocated from the workforce when we had the best, lowest unemployment rates ever? China. Why couldn't you go to Easter church service and worship? China. Right? So China is the problem. And they're our number one, they're in an economic information war with us, as Bannon said yesterday. Everybody needs to tell their friends to watch Bannon's economic war room pandemic. And China is the election. On the other side of the aisle, you got Joe Biden. He and Clinton gave China most favored nations, have given them every exception to favored them over our American businesses. Chinese firms don't even need to be audited to be on our New York Stock Exchange, et cetera.
Right.
So it should be the election issue, and conservatives need to rally on that. But a lot of people are compromised because they've been paying to play with China. And so but to save the country and get the jobs back for Americans, that's the issue.
Jenna, I think Dave is right. I think the president is going to continue to make China an issue in this campaign. And especially when you get around to Beijing, Biden, the money he's taken, he's not going to stand up to them. You know, this whole virus thing, the Chinese have got to be accountable for this, and I think the president is going to do that. Jenna, look, you're on the campaign as legal counsel. What do we have to do to turn the corner and win this election, Jenna?
Yeah, I think that Dave is absolutely right that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about China, and that's why the campaign and every conservative that cares about liberty and freedom and protecting the American way of life and making sure that America first, which is the principles that President Trump is running on, which basically means he understands that the office of the president, as well as everyone who is elected in government office, is responsible to preserve and protect the fundamental God-given unalienable rights of Americans first. That's why we have nations. That's why we have people who are in our government to protect and preserve our freedoms and liberties. And so President Trump, I think, really turned to that corner at Mount Rushmore and then also again in Washington, D.C. over Independence Day by showing the stark contrast between his reaffirmation of our American heritage and the fact that our founders recognized that our rights come from God, our Creator. And were our founders perfect? No, but they served a perfect God. And we are founded on those principles of freedom and liberty. And the contrast between what the extreme progressive neo-Marxist left wants to do to transform America into a socialist country, partner with countries like China that don't value human life, that don't value anything about freedom and liberty like what America does. That's everything that would happen if a Biden administration and his handlers got into office. And so we need to continue to keep speaking truth. The campaign is going to do that, but also I believe that every American who loves freedom and liberty and who cares about themselves and their families and their ability to go to church and freely worship God and have the protections of what our government should be, will continue to speak that as well, and also will get out and vote on November 3rd.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're live at the Falkirk Center at Liberty University. Jenna Ellis with us. Jenna is the counsel for the Trump campaign, Trump Pence 2020. Dave Brat with us. Dave, former Congressman, 7th District, Virginia, Dean of the Business School, now at Liberty University. Dave, very quick sidebar, VA 7 convention tomorrow, 15-hour marathon, 105-degree heat. Who do you think is going to win that, and who do you want to win and go up against Abigail Spanberger?
Yeah, well, Nick Freitas, I'm supporting. I rarely do that. I've never done it in a primary before. But there's a lot of people that say a lot of things that sound good, like Spanberger. And then they hide under a rock when they get up there. They get an opportunity to change the country and save the country. And so, other folks may be saying the right things. Nick Freitas has stood up on principle and has a voting record that's solid. So don't let John Fredericks freak you out about the heat. Everybody show up and do your patriotic duty, even if you got to sweat. Fredericks doesn't want to mess up his hairdo and lose a competitive position. Get out there in the heat.
I got to compete with Dave and Bannon on the hair thing. Come on, man. I don't like conventions, but look, I've endorsed Nick Freitas also. Everybody knows that. I like John McGuire. He's a nice guy. He's
nice
certainly
guy.
I mean, look, he's a good guy. He's got a future. But I think in this time, this race right now, Nick Freitas is the guy. He's going to be able to raise the money. He's going to be able to take it to Spanberger. He's a great debater, very effective communicator, and I think he's going to have to draw Spanberger out. I'm not sure that John's going to be able to do that. I like John, but we've endorsed Nick from the beginning, and he's also got a track record in taking on tough things. Now, John has also, but I think, there's a time and a place for everything. I think right now, 2020, 7th District, it's winner take all day, because if Spanberger wins again, they're going to bake the cake in there, redistrict. She'll be in there till we're all dead, or she decides to run for something else. So stakes are really, really high. And I think as goes the 7th District, goes Trump. I think if we get beat in the 7th, it doesn't bode well going forward for the campaign. So let's hope that happens. So I encourage all these 7th District people, all the delegates, go out there tomorrow and vote. Remember, you have to be in line by 11 a.m. or you're not going to be able to vote in Doswell. You got to be in line. If you're late, you're out. And if you don't get in on the first one, you can't vote in the second and the third ballot. So, Dave, thanks for being with us, Dave. I know you got to take off.
Thanks,
Newsmax, thank you, Dave at Newsmax, Jenna